26 years is not enough, to measure majority in terms of democracy. If we look at Nigeria, we had a military interregnum in Nigerian politics, which has taken its toll on Nigeria. And then even if you look at our culture, because if we talk about democracy has to do with culture. Do we have democratic culture? A country that just came out of military rule, it will take a lot of things to cultivate that culture into the citizenry. You understand? So that political culture is not there. So for us to talk about maturity in terms of democracy, I think it's too early for us to be talking about that. I still see our democracy as a kind of nascent democracy. Even with the whole things going on in Nigeria now, the question is, are we democratic? When we talk about democracy has a basic characteristics of what we may call canons of democracy. These are the basic features of democracy. Even though you may not touch them, they are abstract concepts. You see them. And when you see these things, you can say, yes, that this is a democratic state. When we talk about canons of democracy, we talk about periodic, free and fair election. You understand? And that free and fair election, you have a universal adult suffrage. People that have gotten to the level to vote and to be voted for, they will have that freedom to vote and even to contest in that election. Then we have the rule of law, which is very, very fundamental. You understand? The rule of law, what we may call a constitutionalism. You understand? Seeing constitution as the final arbiter, that nobody is above the law. Everybody is equal before the law. Then you have mass participation. These are some of the fundamental canons of democracy. And then you have the respect for fundamental human rights. You have the freedom of movement, freedom of speech, and freedom of the press. These things are quite germane. So, and you have multi-party system. These are the canons of democracy. So it's now left for you as a journalist, interviewing me in this, on this ground to check, looking at the indices, on the ground. Can you say that Nigeria, we are actually a true democracy? Nigeria, we have grown from parochial political culture. We have moved to the level of participant political culture. All of us, we witnessed what happened in the last election. People were optimistic. You see a lot of people knowing their political rights. People are going about, they know their civic duties, they are ready to participate. You see them getting involved, However, we got at a crossroad where people were not able to follow to the level of civic political culture. So it's a work in progress. We are getting to that level. I believe that maybe by 2027 election, because I see a lot of, civil society organizations, I see them now moving around. Some have even submitted petition to the National Assembly, calling for electoral reform, calling for electronic transmission of elections. These are some of the issues we see. And we know, yes, that we are injecting life into our democracy. It may take a lot of time for Nigeria to get there. Why? Because neoliberal democracy cannot be achieved in Nigeria unless we eliminate poverty. Because these are the two things that they don't go together. You understand? A poor man, he may have a voice, but he may not have a stand, in the sense that he is interested to meet that his immediate need, which is bread for him to feed himself, feed his family. You understand? As long as we don't solve the challenge of poverty, our democracy will remain in shambles. So as we are talking about building our democracy, we have to, address the issue of poverty. Because these two things, they move in pari passu. If you address poverty, you will get democracy right. Because just the way you are now, if your children don't have anything to eat, you can easily sell your conscience for you to meet your immediate need. It doesn't matter. You know, even in terms of principle, I know that everything has a price. It only depends on what the price are. You understand? So if we can actually address the issue of poverty, then our democracy, we will get to that El Dorado that all of us we are praying to get to.